So today I'm making a set of nunchucks. These are going to be a tapered octagon, which for the life of me I cannot figure out how to do on a machine. So we're going to do them by hand. So what I've already done, I did use the table saw to rip these down. They're about 1 1/8 inch square. On the ends I have gone in about 3/16 of an inch. I've gone in and drawn a smaller square on the inside. I took and I drew a straight line going across. Then I transferred that line around the corner. I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but I took a ruler and I went from my line here, my small square, to the outside end, and I drew a line going down on each side. So now we're just going to take the hand plane and we're going to plane it down to that angle on each side. Since I'm taking more material off of this end and pretty much zero at this end, I'm going to do more planing down here than I am down here. Now to do the other side. Okay, so now we have a taper going this way. So now we need to make a taper going this way. What I'll do is I'll take my marks from my square that I made here and do the same thing going from this corner to this corner. Put a little paste wax on my plane to make it slide a little better. Oh, it's like butter. Like a knife through hot butter. Okay, so there's a tapered square. I'm going to taper this one. I'm going to come back to you. Okay, so now that I've got 2 tapered square nunchucks here, it's time to lay out the octagon portion. And I'm going to find the center of the end here. So we just measure corner to corner at a 45-degree angle. We make a line. And then we do it again on this. And now that I have an X, I'm going to take these things here, compass things. I'm going to push this down into the center. I'm going to adjust this to where it's at the edge of the corner. Now that I got that, it's at the edge of each corner. Now I'm going to flip this around and I'm going to put the point in the corner. Okay, stick this in the corner and draw out this little radius here and here. I'll do that for every corner. Okay, so now I've got this little design here. And I've got a point here, 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 and here. Those are going to be my corners for my octagon. So that's what I'm going to knock off: that corner, that corner, that corner, and that corner. That would be super simple, except this is a tapered octagon, so I got to do this on the skinny side as well. Okay. So now I've got these points on this side as well. I'm going to transfer those over to the sides. Just a little bit so I can see it when I turn this on its side. Okay, so now I've got marks on my sides here. Go back to the long ruler. So I want to connect my points here and here. Draw a line. I'm going to do that on all these points. These lines are going to tell us how far to take the corners down to make the octagon. Here we go. So I've got all my lines marked out for my octagon. Okay, so now that I've got it marked out, now I've just got to take the plane and put the octagon sides in. So I'm going to put these in my bench here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to plane it down to the line. And you have to pay attention to the grain of the wood. If you start to get tear out, then you got to plane the other direction. And so for me, instead of trying to turn this thing around and pull on it, I've got my little Japanese plane that I'll use if I'm pulling. And I got my Stanley that I use if I'm pushing. I don't know if that's weird. I didn't learn from anybody. So it's going to start off with just little wispies because it's only cutting the corner. But as you go, it's going to cut more and more. Also, you got to pay attention that you're taking more off of this side than you are off of this side. So you can't go perfectly even the whole time or you'll take too much off of this side. So you want to just pay more attention to the back once you get it started. There's one side. Now I'm going to flip it over 180 degrees because now it's got a flat spot on the bottom, and that's going to make this one easier. So when you're doing this, since you're doing 4, 2 of them are going to be difficult because they're sitting on a point. The other 2 are going to be easy because they're sitting on a flat. The grain on this wood seems to cut really easy. I don't have to, like, on the last one that I did, I had to use the other plane, go whichever direction the grain wanted to go. But this stuff doesn't seem to care. Oh, there's a little tear out when I pull. It could just be my plane too aggressive. Even things out a bit there. So this is the point where it's critical to keep everything even, because if I take too much off on this side, then this facet is going to be wider than the facet next to it. If I don't take enough off, then it's going to be narrower than the facet next to it. If it's too narrow, that's fine. I can just plane some more. If I go too far, I can't take any off. So in order to make it even, I've got to take it and even it up on that side, and that means my nunchucks are going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller until they're children's nunchucks. It's a little bit hard to do on this particular facet. I don't know why. It's just the attitude of the wood. Every piece of wood has its own personality. Look at those curls. That is cool. So here it is. Here's a tapered octagon. You could stop there, but it's a little rough. So I'm going to do the other one, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to go over this. I'm not going to sand this. I don't want to round off my little my facets here because I like the way it feels like this, but I want it to be a little smoother. So I'm going to take a card scraper to it. But first I'm going to finish the second one. So now we're just going to take a card scraper here and just scrape it down. You don't want to scrape too hard and mess everything up. So I may have to take sandpaper to this because no matter which way I scrape it, it seems to be rough. At least on this facet. That's the crazy thing, these could be different. Each facet has its own grain and its own personality. Like this one. Scrapes great. I'm doing this also to get, if I have any pencil marks left, to get the pencil marks off. You can also fine tune your facets here, make sure they're even. Be careful. Don't slip off the side. If you ruin the point there, there would just be no point. Okay, now it's time to do the second one. Okay, so since I'm going to have to do a little bit of sanding on these because some of these edges are still kind of rough feeling even after the scraper, I've got just a flat piece of wood here. It's a piece of maple. It is blue on the sides because I was practicing with some dye on it, and it was just the closest thing I had. So I've got some 320 sticky back on here, and I'm just going to just rub it a couple of times. You want to go slow. You don't want to roll it and mess up your facets. I'm not going to make you sit and watch this. I'll be back. Okay, they're sanded. We've got our octagons. All we got to do now is we got to drill some holes for the rope to go through. So we're going to drill a hole in the end, but we're going to do that last. We have to drill 2 holes in here because the rope will go in and loop around and come back out. So it doesn't, from what I can tell, it doesn't matter how far in your holes go. The first ones that I did, they were kind of far apart. I was basing it off of a set that a guy showed me. I basically took his and traced them out and marked all the holes. But they were like way far down. I want to make them a little closer. So I'm gonna take, I'm gonna do the first hole 1 inch in. I'm just gonna mark here. And I'm going to do both of them at the same time so that I've got both of my holes in the same spot. And then I want to do, I'll do 2 inches for the second hole so that they are 1 inch apart. Now let's make these a little more water visible. Ooh, better yet, I can mark them with my Jimmy DiResta ice pick. Eyeball the center. Give it a little whack. That'll keep my drill bit from wandering. Oh, hello. Lunch break. Do you like my little plate? Well, if you subscribe, then you'll see my next video where I'm going to show you how to make one of these plates out of a piece of wood. I even made this little bowl also out of a piece of wood. So subscribe and ring the bell and you'll get notified, so you'll know when I make this stuff. Alright, now the next step in our process here is we got to cut out some channels between the two holes here so that the rope has somewhere to go and it's not sticking out on the outside. In order to kind of keep my line straight, I am going to use this marking gauge here to scribe a line going down. There we go. Now we just repeat it 3 more times. Alright. I've got my channels cut in here. Now there's one last thing that we can do to screw this up. We've got to drill a hole through the end connecting to there. So we got our little divot here where we marked the center earlier. So it's no problem finding the center there. And I'm just going to go kind of slow and easy, make sure I don't veer off my course. Let's put the hammer to it. We survived. Now let's put a bigger drill bit on there. So I'm thinking I want to go up to a 3/8 because I gotta have enough room for 2 pieces of paracord to fit through, as well as the knot. I want to hide the knot inside. There we go. So all that's left to do now is finish. And I think that the color of this is really brought out nicely by boiled linseed oil. And it's easy to apply. So you take your boiled linseed oil and you just dump a little bit in your hand, your gloved hand, and not a little bit, I mean a little bit, look at that. Then you just do this number here, just rub it in. Look at that. Would you look at that? Now, if I had the good stuff like James Wright, I wouldn't have to use gloves. But I got the store-bought stuff. Hint, hint, wink, wink, James Wright. You want to send me a jar? I'll gladly use it. BLO. One good thing about not using a rag to do this is that, you know that they say about boiled linseed oil, if you leave it, a balled up rag laying around, it can burst into flames. Which I don't want that to happen in my shop. Mostly because my bedroom's upstairs. Alright, let's let this sit there and cure for a little bit. And we'll come back with a little bit of paste wax and we'll string them up. We'll smash some stuff.